Hey guys, this is Travis. You're at Tpull's Corner, and we're in week 2 of Travis Plays the Premades. And in this case, we're playing with the Control Center deck they gave us. And I was automatically disappointed with the deck when I first saw it because I liked the idea of Mind Flare, but they only gave us one copy. So how much control is that really? But the plus of Mind Flare is when they enter the battlefield, you gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flare. So in a game that has so much removal in the meta, you could lose control of that creature in the same turn, next turn, whatever. But, maybe there's a chance if you can either protect the Mind Flayer, or if you've kind of had your opponent use all of their immediate removal, that you could use this to your advantage. So what we're going to do is, for this week, today I'm going to put together the introduction, and we'll just go through this deck real quick, and then for the rest of the week there'll be a match or two each day as I get used to the feel of the deck, learn its advantages and disadvantages, and then at the very end of the week we'll go ahead and do some deck tech and talk about what we might change as far as this deck is concerned if we wanted to upgrade it just a little bit. Alright, so with that, we'll start over here. We have Curate. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, the rest back into the top of your library in any order, and draw a card. It's a good card. Reject, we have 2 of them, counter target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 3. So you're really hoping to get these earlier on in the game, because otherwise if they have tons of mana, they could have like 5 mana to put out planeswalker and the other 3 just spend it to counter the spell. So it's not a bad 2-drop, but if you get it later, it could be pretty worthless. Tazim Royal Mage. This is one where if you get it too early, it limits the efficiency, right? Because you want to prefer to keep the kicker cost. If you can pay 6, you return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. That can be really useful. Do we need 3? Because you're going to get it a lot, right? So you might have to just put it down as a chump blocker. And is that worth having that extra copy of it in the deck? We'll find out. 3 Elderfang Disciples. Everybody and their dog seems to be running this card with black. Whenever they use black in their decks, it's hard to argue against it, right? It's a 1/1, makes the opponent discard a card. It's not a bad card to start off with. I'm just seeing it overused, so I'm getting bored with it is all. 3 Flunks for removal. Flunk has turned out to be a very good utility card, so we like that. Dragon Turtle. You can play him for flash. When he enters the battlefield, you tap it and up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. They don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. Now, the flash is important because if you put it out during your turn, that doesn't help you all that much, right? But if you've got somebody you want to attack and your opponent's got a creature that could block it, if you can put it out with a flash during their turn and tap that creature, then you have a better chance to beat it to untapping your Dragon Turtle and that kind of thing. So just the flash is something that when I first used this card, I would just play it during my turn, and it's really better if you can play it during your opponent's turn, like the end of your opponent's turn. Okay, you find the Villain's Lair. You can draw 2 cards or discard 2 cards, or you can counter target spell. Most of the time we're countering target spells. Callous Blood Mage, good card. When he enters the battlefield, you get to choose either exile the target player's entire graveyard, draw a card and lose a life, or create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. So this is kind of one of those things where you'll usually draw a card and lose a life early on. If the player's dipping into the graveyard a lot, the exiled target player's graveyard could be really handy. Vampire Spawn. When he enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I've used this in a couple of decks. Good card. 3 more removals to go along with Flunk. You have Poison the Cup, which you can foretell and bring out cheaper. You destroy the target creature and scry. It's one of my favorite removals. Probably one of everybody's favorite removal cards right now. 2 Contact Other Planes, roll a d20, and you get to do a various thing between drawing 2 cards and scrying and drawing the cards. 1 copy of Baleful Mastery. You can just pay 2 mana, and an opponent will get to draw a card, but you get to exile a target creature, a planeswalker. If you don't have enough mana, this can still be a lifesaver of a card, but what we like to do, right, is pay the full 4 and not give them the card draw. 3 Skull Raids, which is a nice, fun discard card. You can foretell it and make it cheaper later. And this is one of the better discard cards, right, because you can either make them get rid of 2, or if they're if they've emptied their hand, a lot of times what you have with discard spells is, well, they've already emptied things. We're in the mid game. I've got a bunch of useless discard spells. You can play this and you get to draw 2 cards instead of them discarding 2. So if you're going to have a discard deck at random, from all of the choices in your deck, this is probably the best one to have, if you're not making just like a pure discard deck in the first place. Gelatinous Cube. When he enters the battlefield, you exile a target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until Gelatinous Cube leaves the battlefield. And if you have enough mana to match their summoning costs, you can exile it. Either same turn or next turn. Depends on how much mana you have available and the size of the creature that you've engulfed. This one is a pinch hitter, Limerith, Desert Doom, legendary 5/5 flying dragon. As long as it's untapped, it has Ward 4, and when it hits, it deals combat damage, and you draw a card. And if you have fewer than 3 cards in hand, you draw cards to equal the difference. So if you got 0 cards in hand, you get to draw 3. All right, we have the Mind Flayer we went over. We have Undersea Invader, enters the battlefield tapped, but he's got Flash, so again, you want to do this during your opponent's turn if at all you can. Just time it strategically. And 2 more dragons. A blue dragon that can decrease the power of up to 3 different creatures when it enters the battlefield, and Black Dragon, which has Acid Breath, so you can give a target creature and opponent controls -3/-3 until end of turn. So we're basically looking at some discarding, some equal parts discard and removal, and lining up till you got enough mana to bring out your heavy hitter dragons. That's the deck in a nutshell. You've got a little bit of sorting through your deck, you've got a little bit of counter spells, you got a little bit of flash, so there's a good mix of things in here. And of course you can see we got, they've mixed up all of the archetypes, or all of the expansions. We got Strixhaven there, we got Kaldheim there, we got Adventures into the Forgotten Realms there. And let's see, for lands, what do we have for total lands? We've got 16 creatures and 26 lands, so a little bit more than the average. 10 islands, 10 swamps, 1 clear water pathway, 4 ice tunnels, which is fine, and 1 port of Carfell. So you can mill 4 cards and return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. But you need to spend 6 to do it, so it's not necessarily going to give you a big advantage for these big cards, which by the time you can sacrifice the port of Carfell, you could just summon those from your hand regularly. So not sure about the returning from the graveyard part. But, maybe if you've played these and already lost them and they're not exiled, you could get one back unexpectedly with that. So we're going to take it out and we're going to play it. Remember to like and subscribe, share it with a friend, all that good stuff. And tune in for these bite-sized videos for the rest of the week, and we'll see how the deck plays out. Here we go.